was saying, how many of you guys here know the meaning of confidence? Put your hands up if you know. I mean, सबको आती है English या नहीं आता meaning of confidence. Okay. So, if you Google the meaning of confidence, you'll find that it comes from a Latin word called confidere, which means to trust. So, when you talk about self-confidence, you're talking about trusting yourself. But what happens when you don't have self-confidence or when you can't trust yourself? Doesn't the latter sound much worse than just saying, oh, I don't have confidence? Unfortunately, that is the reality for a lot of people, including me. I'm Shivani Patil, and I've always been that kind of a person who doesn't talk much, who's very shy, who's always self-doubted, and the introvert of the group. And I've always known the importance of confidence because, well, I've never really had it. And I know that its presence can do wonders. When my parents look back at my childhood, they always describe my sister as the mischievous one or the troublemaker of the family, and they always describe me as the shant child of the family. But I don't know when this shy girl turned into a scared and anxious girl. I am one of those many people who get scared to do basic, normal, everyday things. Like, if I'm at a restaurant, I used to get scared to order for a glass of water, and let alone food. Ordering food was like something out of a nightmare for me. So I would always ask my friends to do it. I hate answering phone calls. I don't. If I see an unknown number flashing on my phone, I'm just like, not happening. You gotta text me, I'm not gonna answer that call. And if I knew the answer in class, I would never put my hand up and answer because of the ever-present self-doubt that whatever I know is wrong. And it was very easy for me to think that I'm probably really bad, if not worst, at whatever extracurricular activity it is that we were doing in school. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't do these everyday normal tasks. What I hate is the inability to do it without feeling scared or anxious. And then there is one of my biggest insecurities, that I have a bump on the right side of my forehead and that my face is not symmetrical. And when I was in school, I had a schoolmate who would always make fun of this fact on the way back home on the school bus. And these are the small things that actually end up molding your mind as a child. And to most of you all here, they might sound like small things that you can't worry about, but they really bother people like me. And I wasn't really a great student either. When I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, I almost failed. And obviously my mom helped me with studies. She would take my take-ups and everything. But I would always get told off or slapped if I couldn't read something, or if I couldn't spell, or if I couldn't understand maths. So when I was in the 7th grade, I started going for tuitions and abacus classes, both of which were taken by the same sir. And this one day when I got my results back from school, he asked to speak to my parents. So my dad and I went over to his house where he used to take the classes, and they had their conversation, and they made sure I didn't overhear them. Up until a few years ago, I didn't know, and I just found out a few years ago that what they were talking about is that maybe I should get some tests done because I might have a learning disability. So my dad went home, and of course my parents had a discussion on it. And like any normal parent's reaction, their first reaction was no, there's nothing wrong with my child, so we didn't get the tests done. Then fast forward to 9th grade, when we had an open house, like a parent-teacher meeting, and that's when my 9th grade teacher told my mom the same thing my tuition sir had told them. And this time around, we got the tests done. They were fairly easy tests, some would say, basic maths and basic GK, and they would like show me placards and ask me to tell them what is it that you see on it. And when I got the results back, it said that I had borderline spelling and reading disorder and dyscalculia. That means I can't understand maths. At first, I felt very weird about it, and like I was embarrassed about it. But eventually, I started to realize that, you know, wait, there is a reason I can't spell or I can't do maths, and it's not entirely my fault. Then I entered junior college. It was a new place, new people, new friends. So I somehow gathered the courage to put my name down to participate in the fashion show. And I think that is where it all started. It was something very minor, you know, just putting my name down in the list for participating in the fashion show. But that ignited a confidence in me and made me realize that, hey, I really do love this world of fashion and glamour. So after I got out of junior college, I did something I never thought I would do. I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw this advertisement for a pageant called Style Diva that was being conducted by one of India's leading magazines. So without thinking, without even telling my parents, I gathered some of my pictures and I mailed it to them. Mailing them those pictures was probably the best decision I ever made. I heard back from them, and they said that I still need to audition in person to make it to the final pageant. When I heard this, I was terrified because I have to go and I have to present myself in front of unknown people. But I knew if I didn't do it, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I did. I went and I made it. I made it into the pageant. And I was so proud of myself because for the first time, my desire for something had overtaken my lack of confidence. And then they told us that we will be taken for 7 days to Pune for training. That's when I started shitting bricks. Because I was going to go to a new city, new place with new people, no mummy, no daddy, no friends, no one to fall back on, and I had to socialize. But those 7 days turned out to be probably one of the best 7 days of my life. Because when I got out of that pageant, I was a completely new person. They groomed us there. They taught us how to walk, how to talk, how to start conversations, how to hold conversations, and these were some of the things that I never did before. Holding a conversation was something I could never do. I didn't win that pageant, but I came out of it feeling a lot more confident and I felt like I'd achieved something. 6 months later is when I started my fashion blog, The F Drug. It took me 3 to 4 months of going from I can do this to no, I can't do this, to no, I don't have the style to pull this off, to no, I'm going to work on it. It was fairly easy and fun in the beginning because it was like a outlet for me, like a creative outlet for me. It was a way of doing something that I love. You know, we would get up at 4 and 5 a.m. in the morning to go and shoot. So I would get the streets empty so people would not stare at me when we were shooting. But eventually things started to pick up and fashion influencer or fashion blogging started to become a thing. And that's when things got a little more hard because it was very hard for me to find my place in the fashion industry because that industry alone can be very intimidating, it can be very daunting. So it was hard for me to feel like I belonged and to find my space in an event or at a show. Then things started to get even more hard when I started going for my degree college because fashion week and exams at college would always fall at the same time. So I would go to college, give my exams, dressed up, all glamorous as if I'm going for fashion show, or I would like carry clothes in my bag, like this huge bag for a 2-hour exam. I'd give my exam, run to the fashion week location, finish whatever commitments I had with whatever brands over there, go back home really late at night, like past 12, only to get up the next morning and go give a paper that I didn't study for at all. So there was this one point where everything got too much for me and I was so pressurized that I went to my mom and I started crying. I was like, no, I can't do this. And I wanted to drop out of college because I didn't want to give up my work because I loved it so much and I'd actually worked really hard on it. But I didn't drop out of college. I finished my bachelor's in mass media degree. I don't know how, but I did. Don't drop out of college, kids, okay? Don't. In the past 4.5 years, I have grown so much as a person. I have traveled the world with brands. I have worked with some of the top brands in the industry. I've been in magazines, I've been in newspapers, I've done thousands of photo shoots that would be mortifying to me. And I've been to events alone. I've started conversations, I've held conversations. But what I've also done is sat behind my phone screen and compared myself to something I see online. I have felt like I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not thin enough, or my work is not good enough, or she's working with better brands, maybe my work is not good enough. And it's nothing new to feel like this, because I'm sure everyone sitting over here has felt like that at some point. I mean, it's very common in our generation to feel like that. But let me remind you, just like I remind myself, that nothing you see online is real. It's never as perfect as it appears to be because nobody is going to post their failures and nobody is going to post their problems and struggles in life. And you owe it to yourself to not compare yourself to something you see online and something that seems to be real, because trust me, it's not as perfect as it seems. I still get scared and I still get anxious to do everyday small things. But being in this industry has taught me to be better than that. And to be honest, I was terrified of giving this talk here today. But I realized that courage and growth only comes when you allow yourself to be seen and you allow yourself to step out of your shell slowly and take those small baby steps to get to where you want to actually be in life. So believe in yourself and be patient with yourself. Don't be too hard, because whatever you want will happen. It might not happen today, but it will happen someday. Thank you.